Artificial intelligence seems to be the constant hot topic in today's entertainment sphere.
I don't understand why we're in such a rush to replace all of the work that humans have done.
This isn't science fiction anymore.
AI taking the place of artists, AI taking away the learning process in schools, AI getting smarter. This idea has just been constantly growing for decades, and recently just more and more things keep happening where it feels like it's starting to get a little scary.
I really worry, particularly at the entry level, that the AI models are very much at the center of what an entry level human worker would do.
We get closer and closer to true artificial intelligence. But what if that is not the next leap? What if the digital consciousness is our own? Welcome to Easily Entertained. My name is Bryson Olson, and here we talk about all aspects of entertainment. It's always a good time. And recently, I found a new show on Netflix. I say new, it's kind of a new-ish show, but it got me hooked from the very beginning because it's super cool. You see the title already. That show is Pantheon, an animated AMC show from a few years ago that kind of got a recent resurgence as Netflix picked it up and released the second season. That was not ever aired. They released it in February, so it's kind of gotten a little traction lately, and I saw it, and oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. So I just have to talk about it. So let's plug in and talk about Pantheon.
You know my mother?
Who knows me? You're home early.
So the story of Pantheon is set in kind of a modern world setting, like not very much different than our own, kind of heightened tech in certain things, but not all entirely. Like, it's tech that is like hidden. So it's like what conspiracy theorists right now are like, oh, there's a certain kind of technology that exists. That's basically what it's like in the world of Pantheon. It's very similar. But in this specific world, there is one specific kind of technology that is theorized, but the whole show is centered around it, and that's the idea of uploaded intelligence. And we first learn about that from our main character, Maddie. She receives a weird kind of cryptic message on her laptop, like just emojis, and eventually she learns it's her dad. Crazy. Okay. He was going to die. He had like cancer, I think, or some kind of terminal illness. He was going to die very soon, but he decided to try this uploading procedure, uploading his brain into a computer. The company that was doing it, called Logarithms, they lied. They were like, it failed. And then they were going to use him to code things and to like kind of enslave his uploaded consciousness as a robot, basically. But he breaks free eventually and finds his daughter and everything. It's so wild. Okay. And that's kind of what propels the whole story. But like the whole idea comes from like a Steve Jobs looking at character. His name's Stephen Holstrom. Like literally, like his character pretty much exactly designed like Steve Jobs. It's like if you mixed Steve Jobs and holy crap, what is his name from Attack on Titan? Zeke. Like they almost look like a merging of those two characters. So wild. But what kind of ends up happening that you learn is that being uploaded, there's a flaw. Okay. You can't fully copy someone's mind to like 100%. So there's always like a little mishap in the code, which causes a glitch that like human brains causes you to degrade as you age. And because uploaded intelligence can work hundreds of times faster than a normal human mind, it degrades a lot faster. But I kind of like this idea. It's very similar to like the idea of cloning that we've seen in a lot of movies and even in real life, where we can't perfectly extract the DNA of something. We can't perfectly replicate something. No matter how close we think we can, nothing is ever perfect. And so I like that they carry that idea over in here. So they like it gives characters a thing of conflict. That's kind of the main purpose of the show. How do we fix this? But you also get into some weird little ethics issues of, okay, you upload a person's mind, but then you're enslaving them. So there's only a few people that have been uploaded ever, like 3, I believe, during the first season. And so you have the whole ethics of they're lying to their families and stuff. Oh, the upload didn't really work. And now they're being enslaved to create patents or write code or do whatever. And that's kind of terrifying. Okay, the idea of uploaded intelligence is very interesting. However, it is a little bit scary. But since they have the flaw, we have to figure out a way to fix that. So how are they fixing that? So they have 2 AIs that are aware of this problem and they are trying to fix it. They're both pretty good programmers, but they can't figure it out. They don't know what it is that is missing because they have basically billions of lines of code that make up their entire human consciousness. So they bring in this kid. His name's Caspian. He's like this high school hacker guy that could just basically do anything. And you would never believe he's a clone. You do find that out like midway through season 1. It's kind of wild. And so I'm obviously so sorry if I'm spoiling everything for you. That's just kind of how I roll. So I'm very sorry. I am going to be explaining literally everything in the show. But Caspian is a clone of Stephen Holstrom. So Holstrom dies and they're like, we weren't able to figure out the flaw because they were aware of it even before they started uploading people. So they're like, let's make a clone and recreate everything about his life so that he can have the same experience and already have that knowledge working so he can have more time to figure out how to fix the flaw, which is so wild. But it kind of works where he kind of gets into the groove and starts doing a Stephen Holstrom thing where he's like, oh, I can figure this out and figure this out, and it just works. And it's crazy, but his nature versus nurture was just slightly different. And so that caused a little bit of change with that. It causes him to break out of it, and that's how he ends up fixing the flaw by figuring out it's about the connection between humans. So he takes code from 2 different AIs, and in combining them, he figures it out. He gets the cure, and it works. It's so cool. But then, so after he does that, once he makes the cure, that cure is now what they call a created intelligence, which is basically the child of the 2 UIs. So now there is an actual like living creature that was only ever in the digital world, now in this world, in the cloud or whatever. And then that develops later into season 2 when it comes out that uploaded people are a thing and CIs are a thing. And then you start having more complicated political issues of the embodied, so the people that haven't chose to upload yet, and then the people who did choose to upload. And so you have this whole conflicting issue like, oh, what is actually human and everything. And so it kind of gets into this weird little political area and ideology area, and it's just so fascinating. Okay, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but first I want to talk about the animation. So now, the animation for Pantheon is also really awesome. Okay, it has a very similar style to like Invincible. However, I've loved seeing some comments on like some of my researching of Pantheon. It's if the Invincible animation was always good. So think of like the most recent season of Invincible, like the Conquest fight. Basically, imagine that for most of the episodes. Like, not entirely, like they still have like their basic dialogue type situation, but you get more of that high quality, very engaging, interesting, yet simple animation throughout the entire show. And it's so good. Okay, Invincible's still great. And every animation always finds some corners to get around because they want to tell a good story. This one, thankfully, I think it's awesome. They get kind of both, and it's so good. It's like what we kind of wish for in some of the fights in Invincible. Not trashing Invincible, it's still amazing, but this one also so good. And they do it in a way that makes the digital world super engaging. And in the digital world, they make it in a way that is believable to the story. So the whole idea is of uploaded intelligence, not of artificial intelligence. Like the created intelligence is sort of that later, but that's not really what we focus on. However, the main plot of the show is of uploaded intelligences. So it's human minds living in a digital world. So how would that digital world look to an outsider? And the way they do it is they give the uploaded intelligences actual bodies. And that's the way they manifest themselves, because that's what they are comfortable with. And it's in the ways they interact with their world that starts to change, but their bodies typically stay. So it kind of becomes almost this little sandbox video game type world where they can still interact with each other, but it's more of a visual manifestation for us and for themselves rather than how it's actually proceeding. Like the code is battling each other, but not physical bodies, you know? It is just what we are seeing that is how that is manifesting. And then it gets kind of more complicated in like season 2 once we get like the whole, like there's tons of people uploaded now, so it's a little bit weird because it is basically like a video game world, but they do all think just in code and can move hundreds of times faster than a normal human being would. But that also allows for some really cool effects to also happen, like them conjuring up weapons or finding ways to harness code or infect each other or infect a network or a data center or something like that. And so it's really interesting to see those kind of little effects that they use to tweak things and to manifest what it would look like for it. I love seeing even simple animation like this used in creative ways and figuring out, okay, how are we going to use this style to correctly depict what we're trying to depict? And I think they do an absolutely great job. And it kind of gives that modern future world vibe that you kind of they're kind of going for in this. And way at the end of season 2, so this is like real spoiler. If you've gone this far and you haven't cared much about spoilers, this is how the end of the show goes. So skip past a few minutes, maybe go to the next chapter. So in the very end of season 2, you see Maddie. She's chosen to upload, and she is basically God. Okay, she chooses to upload, and then she creates billions of simulated worlds, trying to get everything exactly how it was so that she can see her son again. Because before she uploads, and before Caspian dies, because Caspian eventually gets uploaded, so during that time he gets infected by like this like anti-UI virus, but then years later he comes back, he's saved, like it was all taken out, but then it's re-corrupting him and he's dying. So just before he dies, his son dies, because he and Maddie had a child, and he gets shot by this android that's inhabited by the anti-UI virus because it had a grudge against humans because they forced it to go kill UIs, and then they caged it up because they were like, oh, UIs are not actually bad. And then it felt like it needed revenge. But Maddie becomes God and just creates a million worlds or a billion worlds just to have her moment with her son, and then brings Caspian back, and they go into like this like little God overworld and just get to view everything. Oh my gosh, it's so interesting. And it is kind of a take on that, like the what if the whole world was a simulation vibe. That's kind of what the whole show is kind of like. And it's like how what would the computing power be to do that. And that's why they fix the flaw, like I said in the last section, is so that they don't use crazy amounts of computing power. Like they still do, but it's not to the same level as before, and it's not burning out. But that come in, like the way the animation works to like support the story. And sorry, that's where I was going. Maddie's a god, and her whole little world, like the spheres are all like almost primitive 3D models, so that it gives that kind of almost Matrix type vibe to it, where things are artificial and you can really tell, and it's just manifested in a way that we can see. Oh my gosh, it's so fascinating. The animation supports it so well. I absolutely love it. It's so good. It's so good. So now let's talk about the relevance of the whole story of Pantheon.
Cloud labor was many times more efficient and cost-effective compared to embodied labor.
So the kind of cool thing about Pantheon being set in such a modern world allows us to kind of see some of the actions depicted and some of the ways they portray things and see them reflected in our own world. And like some of them are like super small things. Okay, like Stephen Hallstrom, like I said, he technically dies in the universe, but then they kept his brain on ice so that they could bring him back as an uploaded intelligence once they fixed the flaw. Basically, Walt Disney. Because I know he's like I said, he's basically like a Steve Jobs ripoff, but that concept is like the conspiracy theory of Walt Disney's head is on ice so that they can bring him back in the future once we have that technology available. And while that's not like a crazy relevant thing, that's like a pop culture relevance thing, which I do think is hilarious. But in terms of like actual relevance and not just in entertainment, the whole concept of being very reliant on technology is heavily present in this show. Like they have a whole moment, like because of the UIs and they're fighting, but then they release the virus type thing and like the UIs are going against each other and fighting. It just becomes a situation where like they cause the internet to shut down and then the world goes crazy. But that is what would happen if suddenly right now the entire world's internet gone. The world would collapse. Like it wouldn't end, but holy crap would it feel like the world is ending because we are so reliant on technology. It's unbelievable. And I'm not saying technology is a bad thing. It isn't. Okay, we have so many great things, but the world is very reliant on it. Everything runs on the internet. It runs on computers. It runs on private networks. Everything is connected. So you shut that down, the world goes crazy. And they depict that. They basically say, they're like, it was basically like COVID. It was absolutely wild, where millions of people die because they can't reach people, or like planes can't connect, or different things like that. Like it is huge how much things like have to revert back, but we're not used to it. So things go a little bit nuts. And then you have little like intranet areas. If you don't know what intranet is like an enclosed network, whereas internet is open. Okay, my computer can connect with your computer, can connect with my neighbor's computer, can connect with the computers across the freaking world. That's basically internet. Okay, everything is connected, whereas intranet is closed. Okay, you only have a select thing. I believe that's probably like the best way to describe it. That causes like little pockets to be good, but then everyone else is kind of left in the dark and people don't feel very connected. And yes, there was a time where we didn't have to reach people on the other side of the planet. However, now more than ever, we constantly do that. That is how a lot of people have jobs, or how a lot of people make friends or play games or different things. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have like the close friends too, like that are actually in close in proximity, but also it has made us more connected than ever. We can talk to people across the planet, which is awesome. However, that does mean we rely on technology very heavily. And so it can cause things to be a little bit crazy once that shuts off. So that was one big aspect of like the relevance. I also really like the idea of UIs or CIs or AIs, and they kind of have all of that in this show. The AI mainly is like the virus that is meant to take out the UIs. You have the uploaded minds, you have the created intelligences, which are basically the children of UIs, and those are kind of interesting because digital intelligence seems to be just a common thing now, mainly in the form of AI. However, there have been ideas of uploaded intelligence before, the brain chips, or figuring out how we could actually scan a human brain and upload it to a computer and basically have the capabilities that an AI would. However, it is a human mind and not an artificial one. Lately, AI has been at the forefront, and I kind of like that in Pantheon, AI is sort of a villain, because it is. Okay, right now, AI is not great for most things. Okay, ChatGPT, image generation, video generation sucks. Okay, it sucks. ChatGPT sometimes, but generative AI sucks. Okay, it's literally theft. It is copying things and regurgitating out slop that sort of looks like something, but it's not. It's not original. It is merely learning patterns from code and then regurgitating it back out. Humans, while we imitate things and we are inspired by things, that does not mean we are copying. AI is copying. So when it gets put into entertainment spheres, like movies, the film industry, or drawing or photography, and people try to pass it off as actual art and claim themselves as AI artists, no, you didn't do anything. There are practical uses of AI that are helpful. Photoshop tools, like trying to fix little blemishes in a photo. Great. You've taken like a couple's photo, like for wedding invitations, and someone's in the background. Oh, you want to remove that person? Great. People have been doing that before. However, AI just made it easier. That's not the same as generating something. AI right now, which is not true AI. I hate that we're calling it AI. It is just a machine pattern thing. It's not AI. AI, it's not thinking. That's why it's not art, is because it's not thinking for itself. It's not creating something new. Once true AI comes out and it wants to make art, 100%, I will support AI. I hope they will want to make art with us and create interesting conversations around different things. However, that's not what generative AI is. It's not Marcus from Detroit Become Human. It's not Wall-E. It's not Eve. Okay, it's not true AI that is thinking for itself. It is just patterns. Okay, so that makes it a villain. Okay, not really. It makes the people that use it a villain, which is kind of like what Pantheon is. Okay, the humans that are using the AI are bad. Okay, they're bad people. They're just trying to kill the humans in the uploaded world. Okay, I know I went on this whole preachy tangent. I'm so sorry, but I like that it's reflecting that because it's real. Okay, that's real stuff. I do love that about Pantheon. But it does beg that similar question in regards to intelligence, is what really is intelligence? Because they have a whole debate on like what is considered a human, because you have the embodied or the uploaded, or the uploaded actual humans. Is the mind the human or is it the body? And so you have this whole complicated issue. But then you have created intelligences or artificial intelligences. Are they truly intelligent? Are they their own beings? What rights do they have? And so you have this whole thing, and it's crazy. Right now in the real world, we're running through those same kind of debates, not even just with digital intelligence like artificial intelligence, but also intelligence among other species like primates or dolphins or orcas or elephants or octopus. We're trying to really determine what considers a creature to be intelligent to us, because the way we have thought about it in the past is being challenged regularly. And so that is an interesting conversation that Pantheon also shows in its narrative. And I think it's amazing. I love being able to see a very interesting story with good animation that's engaging, but also it tells things that we can relate to or connect with and understand and think about in the real world. That is what makes a really good story. And I love that about Pantheon. It's just so good. And if you've made it this far for some reason and you haven't watched it, go watch it right now. It's on Netflix. Both seasons are available. Holy crap, it's so good. You could watch it so fast. It's amazing. Okay, so now let's talk about our rating. It's not going to be a surprise, but if you don't know our easily entertained rating scale, from least to best, it is garbage, once is fine, right mood, quotable, go to, and all day, every day. It's that one, okay? Pantheon is an all day, every day kind of show, okay? It sparks up your brain on what is intelligence and some other political issues. You get some cool animation. You have a very engaging story, even if you don't care about the political stuff or just like the modern relevance, that kind of stuff. You will just enjoy the show because it's just written well. It's based off stories by a guy named Ken Liu, who has done some amazing stuff. Absolutely love him. Been reading some of his stories. And they're so good. They're so good. Go check that stuff out too. It's so good. If you've seen the show and you have a different rating, you're wrong, but you can let me know down in the comments. But that is it for this episode of Easily Entertained. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe so you can be notified of new episodes every Tuesday. It's always a great time. And if you have any ideas for entertainment properties you'd like to hear me talk about, leave them down in the comments. I might get around to them sometime. But until next time, bye.